I've never entered a game jam before. I've watched a lot of videos about other developers creating games for them, but I've never actually taken the step to enter one myself. I happened to be sitting around thinking about this when I realised that the Godot Wild Jam was about to start. If you've never entered the Godot Wild Jam before, basically you get 9 days to make a game using Godot, and the game has to fit a theme in some way. Then you can choose to add wildcards as extra restrictions. The theme for this jam was bounty, and the optional wildcards included a secret ending, an inventory system, and shooting stars. My mind immediately went to bounty hunters, and I got the idea to create a top-down shooter where the player has to find and kill a target in order to receive a reward. So I loaded up Godot and created a simple top-down player node and controller script. The plain capsule wasn't really matching the theme of bounty hunting, so I hopped over into Affinity and started drawing a player sprite. I stole a Santa sprite from a game I started making back in December and created a very basic character. While I was happy with the proportions, I wasn't really happy with how it looked, so I went back to the drawing board and ended up with this way more sci-fi looking bounty hunter. I also drew his weapon separately and then in Godot added it to the player node and set it to follow the mouse. After changing the pivot point, it worked a lot better. I also added a target sprite that follows the mouse's position, just to make it clear that the mouse shows where the player is shooting. But who is the player shooting at? An enemy, of course. To create the enemy, I duplicated the player and removed any player-specific stuff from them. I added a simple pathfinding script to follow a target 2D node, which, for testing purposes, I set to the player. Having the player being followed by an enemy who has the same sprite as the player is a bit confusing, so I jumped back into Affinity to create the alien character. Currently the enemy follows the player around, and the enemy can't do anything about it, so I added some bullets and an enemy life system. If the player shoots the enemy 3 times, they win. The player also receives some money each time they hit the enemy. During this time I also created a tile set and drew a map using the tile map features in Godot. I set the floor tiles to have a navigation layer and gave the walls a collision layer as well as an occlusion layer to create the shadows. The enemy should now be able to roam around the world freely rather than just follow the player, so I created some nodes, scattered them around the map, and set the enemy to randomly select one and pathfind to it. By this point, the game jam was entering its final days, and I still had to finish off the UI, sound, and implement the actual game loop. While I should have had plenty of time to finish it off, I received a very exciting email about something that I needed to prepare for, so there goes a lot of my time. When I could, over the next couple of days, I added the UI and created a scoring system, as well as added some upgrades that the user could purchase with their money to help them find and shoot the target faster. These were sight upgrades, movement speed upgrades, and weapon cooldown upgrades. The final element I needed to add to the game was a gameplay timer and some music. Unfortunately though, I had missed the deadline for the jam. As I only had a couple more features to add, I decided to spend a couple of hours the following days adding them in. So yeah, I technically failed the game jam, but I still made a game that I'm proud of. It's up on itch, there's a link down below, so go and play it, break it, whatever you like. Let me know what you think. And if you want to see me actually finish a game jam next time, hit subscribe so you don't miss my second attempt. Thanks for watching.